Hey, CS160 students. I would like to give you a quick tour of the Python idle tool. One of the problems that I see that usually a couple students fall into this trap per term is they don't turn in the right file when they need to turn in a program. And so I want to describe the difference between the interpreter and your source code and what I mean by source code and exactly what to turn in when you turn in a program. So here we have the Python shell is up and running. Now this is called a shell because you have access to the programming language directly in this window. So I am able to type Python code here and actually execute things. And this is a good way for you to test out pieces of your program. However, if I ask you to write a program to print hello and set x equal to 1 and print the value of x and so on, turning in a screenshot of this is wrong. Cutting and pasting this and putting it in a text file is wrong. This is not your program. And so the way that you create a program is you go under the File menu and you go to New File, and it brings up another window. And typically what I do is I just put these windows next to each other. And here's where I would type in my example program. And it's important that you be aware of the style guidelines and some of the other requirements that I put in place for my program. At a minimum, I require that you have your name, right? And so here what I'll do is I'll do this because sometimes people put the professor's name here when they should be putting their student name here, right? And so I create some Python code, and it really doesn't matter what I'm doing because you haven't gotten into that yet necessarily, but let me quickly show what you do here. And if I want to run this program, I simply go to Run, and I do the Run module, which is also the F5 command. And it asks me here to save it, and I say okay because I haven't saved it yet. It's going to bring up a pop-up here. Now note this location here. We'll come back to this in a second, but I'm going to give this a program. I'm going to call it test2. And as you can see, it ran it over here, and it shows what my program name is here and the full file. Now, if I try to print y here, it ran this and it captured the value of y. So if your program is not working properly, you can do some troubleshooting here, and if you need to. This is your source code, right? This file is your source code, and it has the .py extension. So you should always be editing in here. And let me give you an example of that. Let's say I realize, oh crap, I meant to have y equal to 3. So I do this, and then I print something else, and I print something else, and I convince myself my program is working. If you haven't fixed it in your source code, you haven't fixed it, because the source code is going to be what you give to me, and I'm going to run it without any of the knowledge of what you did in the interpreter. Okay, so whenever you modify this file and you attempt to run it, notice that, let me save this and show you this again. If you look at the top here, as soon as you modify it, it puts these asterisks around the side to show you that it's unmodified or that it's been modified. But when you run it, it's always going to ask you to save it. And so you save it, and then it runs it here. And now if I want to submit this code into D to L, or if you want to email it, put it on a thumb drive, email it to me, whatever you need to do, what you can do here is you go to File, and you can go to Open Module or Open, and it will bring up the Windows pop-up with that directory. And so in Windows, you just click over here to the right, and now you have it selected. And so you can hit Control C, and now if you bring up a different browser window, or if you bring up your D to L, you can simply paste, see how I pasted it? And I'm not going to actually do anything with that, but you can paste it here and it works fine. You can also capture the path and the file name from here as well, because that's what you're going to need to go to, right? When you go into a browser window, or sorry, into a file window to get the file to put into D to L. Okay, questions as usual, post on the discussion board, and we can clarify if needed.